Yo, what's up, people? We are live, and yeah, I had to do something today with this Community Shield game. Yeah, welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you watch this video after the stream is done, or if you jump in when the live stream is going on at whatever time, I appreciate you being here. Like the video, subscribe, and let's get into it. I freestyle stuff, so I don't really come here and make a list. That's why I don't stream consistently regularly. But I watched that Community Shield game today, and I have to say that some of the things that I predicted are going to happen will probably happen, which is Arsenal will play differently this season. And I think that's because of getting that hoodoo off our back of not being able to win the Premier League for 22 years, challenging for 3 years straight, back to back, a second, and then finally being able to actually do it. That in itself tells you everything that you need to know. I think that that's what is going to make us play differently. I think also because we've added more quality to the quality that we had um, from last season, and you could see it today. I mean, we started the midfield of, if I'm not mistaken, Bruno Guimaraes, Odegaard, and Miles Lewis Skelly, and then later on that midfield became Declan Rice, Odegaard, and I think it was still Miles Lewis Skelly. Then it became a Zubimendi, Declan Rice. Like it's crazy, you know. Um, and Brechi Eze at the end of it. It's crazy the quality that is coming off the bench. It's crazy the depth that we have in our in our squad, and that's what I've been trying to explain to a lot of Arsenal fans and rival fans too, who keep saying, but we still need some level of quality. Yes, it's always good to want to get better players and attain better players, but I always ask myself this question: if the better player that I want to get is not available, do I still then just go and get somebody? No, I don't. If I could win the league last season with Noni Maduike and Martinelli and all the hate that they got, if I could win the league, finding a way to win the league with them, and if I know I need to replace them and the person that I must replace them with is not available for me to buy immediately, then I'll just go buy somebody else entirely. Like I won't even buy anybody. I think it'll be the stage that we're at now is the stage where Arsenal needs to go get one of, if not, one of the top two best players in the world. Like that's where we need to be. That's what we need to be striving for. Will it happen? I don't know. I don't think so right now. But you have to start knocking on those doors. The same way we were knocking on the door of the Premier League for 3 seasons, second, and eventually we crossed over it. We have to start knocking on the doors of the big players, and eventually one of them will give way and come our way. But for today's game, man, that first goal in 25 seconds, Miles Lewis Kelly's pass to Calafiori. I don't know what Calafiori is anymore. I don't know if he's a left back. I don't know if he's a unicorn, or I don't know if he's just a flying bird or a butterfly. The guy is everywhere. It's crazy. Calafiori is everywhere. But that first goal, amazing. The second goal, Solis gave that assist to Kai Havertz. Yeah, Donnarumma, fluffed some of the lines there, but Kai Havertz did well to knock that ball down. The third goal, Martin Odegaard, El Capitano, the guy who everybody said last season, you're not winning anything as Martin Odegaard as your captain. You're not going to win any major honors. Where are all those people? Come out now. Come out now and apologize to him because he has won a major honor and he has won something else today, a silverware. Whether we rate the silverware or not, he has won it. So he's won two things back to back, whether you like to rate the things that he has won or not, but he has. So the statement that says we will not win anything with him as our captain is null and void now. But his goal today for me was phenomenal. Like the feint, and then of course Donnarumma moving, and then just that very very easy, pass the ball into the net type goal. And I think was beginning to see the best, the old Martin Odegaard, and this time around an older, more matured one. So I expect that with a little more experience that he would be playing better. Because I know last season people criticized him, and rightfully so, he was criticized. But nobody gave context to the fact that this guy was in and out of the team with a lot of injuries last season, a bunch of injuries, and people didn't care. They just said he's finished, he's done, sell him, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But I'm glad we're keeping him. I'm glad for the performances I saw of him in the preseason in all the games that he played in, even though they're just 30-minute cameo roles, and what he did today. Now I'm going to go to a player, Solis, Christian, Solis. Zolis is one player. Zolis is one player that I I've been trying to make out what he is, and just I finally figured out like this guy is he's an output. He gives goals or he gives assists. Like he'll find a way. So Solis has featured for Arsenal in our preseason only because to me the Community Shield is the last preseason game that you play. Yeah, you do get a shield, but I see it as our last preseason game. And Solis has featured in 5 preseason games for Arsenal. He scored once and he's given 4 assists in preseason games. Now, if he can turn around and give those type of numbers in the Premier League, like for every 5 games he gives 4 assists and scores a goal. That means in 10 games he'd have 2 goals and 8 assists. Maybe in 15, I mean, if at the end of the day this guy has 20 something assists and maybe just 6 goals, that's good. As for a winger, if you're giving 20 something assists or 20 assists plus and 5 or 6 goals a season for your first season, I think that's phenomenal coming from a winger. I must say that he's a breath of fresh air. He looks stronger than his size. He puts in a bunch of tackles. He won a bunch of his duels. He's not the fastest player on the pitch, but he's that player that he's there on time and makes the pass that he needs to make, and it makes him look quick. So Solis is the kind of person who gets the ball, moves in, cuts the ball in, crosses in, like dangerous areas. Puts the ball in places where teams will have to panic. Where if there's already a striker there, you can't touch him because it's a penalty. If he gets ahead of you, there's every likelihood he scores or he forces a corner, and you don't want a corner from Arsenal. So again, there's all of this pressure put on you because he moves the ball really quickly. And I'm glad at how we did what we did today. We played very well. We played very, very well today. Going forward, now that the league is about to start, I think of all the teams, the things that I've been talking about on other streams, saying that we're the most settled looking team. A lot of these players who played today had not even played together in the preseason together, like formidably. But we're the most settled team because we have the same manager, we have the spine of our team, and we've only added more quality to it. The difference is other teams, as much as they're adding some players that are player of quality, they have a new manager. So it's a new back room, it's new tactics. How does the manager want to set us up? What does he expect of me? If I don't play well in this game, is he going to play me in the next game? Players are trying to settle in with the manager and get his ideas and all of that. And I think that's the difficult part about it. More difficult than playing 2-3 games a week, because again, when people say, oh, but these other teams, they have managers and the managers haven't played 2-3 games a week, I'm saying, but the players that they have played 2-3 games a week. The players at Liverpool have played 2-3 games a week. The players know how to play in those multiple competitions. It's how the manager sets them up in those competitions that we need to be looking at. So no excuses there for any of these managers this season. Just like there's no excuse for Mikel Arteta this season to not try and retain the Premier League. That should be his goal. Retain the Premier League and try to get at least one more trophy added to that. But yeah, man, it's been a long time coming that that I have like that we've seen Arsenal in this position. It's been a lot. Like I tell people every day, I say we've challenged for 3 seasons back to back and then finally won it, which tells you that for 4 seasons straight, we've been playing at the top of the game, trying to get it. For 4 seasons straight, it's not easy to keep challenging year in, year out, year in, year out, year in, year out, coming second, losing by 2 points, and then going 2 seasons over the club that has always beaten you, 2 seasons back to back, having more points than them, because we had more points than City last season and the season before. And that didn't translate into anything except for last season, but the season before didn't translate into anything. And that's the painful part, where you're literally that team that is at the top, you're first, second, staying at the top consistently is hard, so yeah, I just gotta say, man, I did this. Oh my God, that stuff went to I just realized something that happened. God damn it. I gotta go into those videos and go. Anyways, yeah, I'll say. No, private. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, this guy too. Let's go make it private. My bad. Those never have been public videos. I was testing out something at my office, and then they went into and then they both came on this thing. All right, let's come back. Let's come back to our community shield. I was saying, that. So for me, the most important thing about this is like being able to stay at that very top and keep challenging. So we showed that today. The results for me, I really like the results, but more importantly, I like the performance. And more importantly than just the performance of the first 11 that started, I like the performance of the team overall, with all the changes made, and there was no drop in quality. Like, we made substitutions, and it seemed like we were still, in charge of everything that was going on. There was really no, hey, what's up, man? What's up? uh, yeah, so we were very good. We were very, very good in that. Look, see, here's the thing about it for me. I expected a very good performance, because I said it all preseason that, look, the people who are going to play on the pitch against City are not the guys who we've been seeing. And I knew that was the case, because when Mikel Arteta was interviewed, at the beginning of preseason, when the Arsenal had a optional preseason for the players, it was optional at first if you wanted to come in, and a lot of the players who were not on holidays came in, and then the preseason started, and he made a statement. He says, we're going to have 3 sets of players play this preseason. We're going to literally be working on different things. So I wasn't expecting everybody we play, we beat. 2 seasons ago, let's be honest about it, we lost 2 games in preseason and went on to win the league last season. Sorry. We lost 2 games in preseason, but we still went on to win the league. So I'm not very preseason for me is a place where I want to see what players are about. So when I saw Solis in preseason, before this community shield, have 1 goal and 3 assists already, I was like, you know what? This guy is going to be an issue for many clubs, because if that's what he's good at doing, just providing assists, putting the ball in different dangerous areas, then hey, I'm happy for it, man, because he would give players like Havertz and Gyökeres a lot of opportunities to score goals. And that gives me joy. So I guess we still need more. That's what you do as a champion. It's like, if you are 98% of 100, you need that 2%, and that 2% has to be right. It can't just be, let me just go and get multiple 2%. No, it has to be the right 2%. You understand? Like that, you can't bring something that would change the whole dynamics of your winning formula. So yeah, as is, if we're talking about where we go from here, well, I hope that in our next game, hold on, did this thing change? Let me see. Yeah, I hope that in our next game, when here you go. Hold on, give me a second. Yeah, I hope that in our next games, we would be able to see more of what we did today. Bruno Guimaraes, please, thank you for joining the Arsenal. I saw exactly why we wanted to sign you today. Miles Lewis-Skelly, thank you for staying, because he wasn't going anywhere, and I don't like to give credence to a lot of these news that people do, because all they do is hear something, they don't verify anything, and then they just go ahead and make it news, and it frustrates me. It frustrates me, because you can't just sit there, hear something, don't even verify where the sources are from, and not even, at least even when you verify, sometimes you might not be able to find any information per se, but the least you can do is use common sense and say, hey, okay, Lewis-Skelly has an agent, that's his mom. From everything that we've been told, she got her UEFA license and all that. We understand his mom is his agent, his manager, right? And Arsenal have their own PR machine system or whatever it is. If a club comes to inquire about Miles Lewis-Skelly from his mom, right, and she says something random like, maybe, no, we're not looking to sell him, and then all of a sudden you hear that, and then you say, oh, Arsenal are offering up Miles Lewis-Skelly to United because you want clicks. You're on drugs. Stop it. Stop it. Like, let's just report things the way that they are, and the way that we hear them. The fact that you come and you say, oh, you heard that Miles Lewis-Skelly was offered to United and offered to Chelsea by who? By who? Who offered him? Like, you know. But anyways, that's just by the wayside. I'm glad he's staying. I'm glad that Skelly ain't going nowhere. You know, it's frustrating, man, to hear those type of things. But yeah, you know, well, yeah, you said Solis is 100 million output player. Let me see output player. Oof. No. Again, this is, you see, this is something I want to say. D-Day Spring. You hope we value and appreciate our players better, dude. But one of the best paying clubs in England. We were paying Nketiah 100 grand. Like, I mean, we value our players at Arsenal, and that's why I don't, you know, I don't know where we get this thing as Arsenal fans when we make statements like, I hope we value them, you know, better. Like, how much better do you want to value? We're paying premium price to some players that have been injured and have not played for us. Even the new players, like Sol's salary was literally tripled from what he was earning at Club Brugge. Did they? Please stop this. Go. You guys go to your room. Sorry, my kids are trying to run on the treadmill here right in front of me, and I think that one of them is going to get hurt. Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt and start crying. Anyways, I was saying we value our players, and we take care of our own at Arsenal. That's the one thing that club is about. And so when I see fans say certain things, I'm just like, no, like you're running with the narrative of what all these people outside of what rival fans, of what mainstream media, of all the nonsense lies that they've said about Arsenal. You know, all the nonsense lies. Like I heard somebody say today on a stream, and I'll try to quote what they said, and it's irritating how they say it because I know the narrative they're trying to paint. Oh, Mikel Arteta now has a squad so good and so deep. It is only left to him if he should release them to play like he has been shackling them. No. Again, I told people this last season, Arsenal had to play that way to win the league. We had to be resolute. It was the only way we were winning the league. We weren't going to win it by playing free-flowing football, which we had been doing. We faced the most low blocks again in the Premier League last season. And guess what? Every time we faced the low block, we had to find a way to score. And last season, every time we played teams that opened up, we cut through them. And we've seen it again today at the Community Shield. City did not play a low block. City tried to play out, and we cut through them. So if you want to play the good football against Arsenal, we'll cut through you. You know, we did it against PSG. We conceded a penalty in the Champions League final. People don't seem to want to be realistic about what happened. They just want to banter. We considered the penalty a mistake made by a 21-year-old defender that didn't have Champions League experience at the time. You know, Mosquera, not his fault, to any fault of his, but to how good Kvaratskhelia was. You know, and so when we talk about the football, Arsenal is on point when it comes to the football. It's fine margins. We just need to get better, and I think we will get better. With Odegaard, let's talk about this. Oh, fan appreciation. Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah, you know the thing about this is why, honestly speaking, I don't think we can amalgamize Arsenal's fan base. We're a very big fan base all over the world. People have their opinions. I don't think people are not going to appreciate what he has done even so far right now, because he's not a known name and because he's not a famous person. And even if we did, for example, get a famous person, these same fans will still not appreciate and they'll still complain. So you are going to have those fans. And again, it's sad that the loudest fans are the ones that always have something to complain about the most. So it will always overshadow whatever type of objective thinking the rest of us want to do about the club. And, you know, just to be able to see through stuff and be able to criticize correctly and not just because we want to banter or just say stuff. Yeah. You want to talk about Odegaard? Odegaard, look, my captain did not lose his skill. And I said it again last season, his injuries, you know, in fact, let me pull it off because I have to be realistic about, let me look at the data. Give me a second. Let me see if the football transfer market. Yeah, let me look for Odegaard and then. Yeah, Martin Odegaard. Let me see what his injury. There's a place here where it always shows like the injury, attacking midfield position, detailed minutes, yellow cards, statistics. Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, we all know he had a few injuries last season. He was in and out, right? And that in itself is something that affects players. Like we can't sit here and act like players don't get injured, you know. And when you do get injured, when they come back, they're not going to play exactly the same way. They've got to play themselves back into fitness. And he spent the whole of last season playing himself into fitness. Now, again, not every player has the same work rate. So, for example, what I mean by that is a Declan Rice can be injured, come back, and play himself into fitness in one game because he's Declan. His body behaves differently. We're not going to expect that same, thing from Martin Odegaard, and that's why for me, I'm just like, objectively, you don't expect it from other players when they get injured. We didn't expect it from Rodri, a Ballon d'Or winner, when he came back. We all said, oh, Rodri will play himself into fitness, and people were okay with it. And Rodri did not play well until he got to the World Cup. And so did Martin Odegaard. He didn't play well until he got to the World Cup. But nobody criticized Rodri as much as they criticized Odegaard. Because when it comes to Arsenal, let's throw out all the baby and the bathwater and the common sense, and let's just act based on Trump on an Arsenal derangement syndrome and use that as a yardstick to just beat the club over the head. And that's what most rival fans just want to do. And so it gets very tiring to have a conversation about football with them. You say things like, "Oh, but Rodri had an injury, came back, played himself into fitness." Whether he came back and played himself to fitness earlier than Odegaard is not the thing. This is a process for players. Whatever the duration is, it differs with players. But nobody wants to give that context to Martin Odegaard. Oh, he's crap. He's your captain. You're never going to win anything. Blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, you know what? I hear you. I think we're on different pages on how we analyze football. So I'm going to go to 25-26 season. Let me show. Let's see what we got here. I'm trying to see where his injury stuff is here. I know I always see it here every single time, but now that I need it, it's not popping up. Anyway, whatever. If it pops up, I'll read it out. I'll read it out if it pops up. I know that. Let me see. League level. Let's see what we got here. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why it's not showing. Yeah, injury history. I think this is it. I just clicked on it. Let's see that. Yeah. So last season alone, look at this. 25-26 season, right? Shoulder injury, 13 days. Knee injury, 53 days. Muscle injury, 10 days. He got a knock again, 8 days. Another knee problem, 37 days. Muscle injury, 10 days. Another knee problem, 6 days. Now look at this. Games missed in total last season. Odegaard missed in total. He missed, let's start from the shoulder injury. 3 plus 12, 15 games, 17 games, 18, 19 games, 27, 29, 31 games in total. And we played 64. The captain literally missed half of all competitions that we played in. Right? And people don't want to put any context to it to say, hey, hold on. If this guy is not on the pitch and he's injured, it doesn't mean his skill set is gone. It just means we need to be able to manage our players better and get them back to the full fitness that they are so that we can get the best out of them. And if we can't, then we move on from them and get a better player to replace them, But to sit there and try to make it seem as though every time he came back on the pitch, if he didn't play out the same way he played in 22-23, then he's finished now. It's just a very shallow way of analyzing a player and football, and that for me is the part that I never get. And then just to address this, I'll address this. Like, the Community Shield is the Community Shield. I think that it is a piece of silverware that is added to your tally of silverware that you've won total. Every club counts their Community Shield. Every manager who's won it counts it as part of the silverware that they have won. If you want to argue about how important it is on the grand scheme of other trophies, fair enough, we can have that conversation. But the Community Shield is part of silverware that clubs win and that players win. Do I rate it? Personally, I don't rate it. But am I happy that my players played well and won it? Yes, I am. On the grand scheme of trophies that I would like my club to win, it will be the least on the trophy that I would want us to win. But we went ahead and won it, and that's a good thing. And I can't knock anybody, for celebrating that we won it. Because again, you see rival fans say things like Arteta will never be as great as Pep. I don't know where they get these things from. Nobody has said Arteta will be as great as Pep. But okay, fair enough. Why will Arteta never be as great as Pep? Pep won 20 trophies in 10 years. That's very true. In fact, that is an amazing feat to be able to do as a manager. Like, very few managers are going to turn around and tell you that they've won that number of trophies in that number of years, which is averagely 2 trophies per year. So he's done 20 trophies in 10 years. And when you count those trophies, there's a few community shields in them. There's a few Carabao Cups in them. These are trophies that rival fans try to banter other clubs for winning. So if Pep, the greatest manager, is counting that as part of his 20 trophies, why shouldn't Mikel Arteta count it as part of the trophies he's won since he came to Arsenal? That's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah. So that's the way I address it. I don't care on what rate you want to, on what level you want to rate it or rank it. The legacy of Pep Guardiola is that he won 20 trophies in 10 years. And in that legacy that has been written by this great manager, Pep Guardiola, some of those trophies are Community Shield trophies. So yes, part of his 20 amazing trophies are Community Shield trophies. And if that is a thing for Pep, then that should be applied to every single manager in the league that wins it as well. That's where I'm going to leave that conversation. Yeah. So again, if rival fans don't want to value it and just want to use it to banter, it doesn't jar me personally, because I'm just like, I don't know why you're trying to banter a club that, because whichever way the cookie crumbles today, let's be honest, whichever way the cookie crumbles, if Arsenal lost the game, they would say, oh, we told you you're not going to win the league. You've come back. You were bad in preseason. If we win it, they'll say it's just Community Shield. But for me, I'm not going to downplay any silverware. I may not rank them the same. It's like saying if somebody came and offered me 10 cars and said I could pick 10 cars, and they'd give, and out of 10 cars, I could pick 3 of them. Of course, I'd pick the 3 best ones. If you ask me which trophies would I like to win, I'd want Champions League, I want Premier League, then I don't mind an FA Cup. But if on the way of trying to get those cups, I win a Community Shield, I'll take it and just be like, yeah, I got this. Good stuff. Let's move on. If I get a Carabao Cup, fair income, give it to me, I'll take it. Let's just move on. Let's carry on, and make sure that our goal is to get the top ones, So yeah, and that's the thing. So for me, if we had lost the game today, I would have wanted to just analyze where we went wrong, because it's important to, and if we had lost the game today, I would criticize the loss, but then I'd analyze how we lost. If we lost in a way where we played very, very well and we were unlucky, then there's not much I can do, because there is luck in football. You need a little bit of luck sometimes. And if your luck just didn't shine or didn't just fall through on the day you played and you played well and you drew the game or you lost, I can't really blame the team for that. Where I would blame the team if we had lost the game today is how we lost it. If we played lackluster. I know a lot of people are saying City were not up to mark today. They didn't come prepared, blah, 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 giving all kinds of excuses. Enzo Maresca is trying to figure out which players are just coming back from the World Cup. They're resting. They've not really been able to. Some of these players, I heard someone say some of these players have just been with Enzo for a week. And I'm like, okay, but that's the same for every other club that is about to start the league. Everybody just all have their players coming back at the same time. This is not unique to Man City. This is not a Man City problem where they're the only club who just changed their manager or who are just having players come back. So there is no excuses as regards to that. If you want to, if anything, your players have been together for a long time too. All they need to do is, take what the manager is saying and use that closeness that they have, an understanding of how each other have always played, and they know each other's skill set very well, and try and readapt and apply it on the pitch as well, while staying within the parameters that the manager has set for you. Kovacic, I want you to play in this position. Okay, Kovacic likes to backheel here or this, then play with him and make sure you make yourselves look good. Yeah. And I think that, yeah. Well, fingers crossed. I hope there'll be no bad luck. Yeah, me too. I hope there'll be no bad luck this season, and I hope things pan out for us this season, guys. If you can, please subscribe, like the video, share the video if you can. If there's anything else you guys want me to address, you could just throw it in the chat and I'll address it. But if it's anything that is like banter related, I just nah. Yeah, I think that this season is also going to be one of the tougher seasons for us because we will be the hunted. Everybody will be hunting us down. Everybody will try to play us like it's their last supper that they're about to eat. They are going to fight to the very last second against us in every single game. Why? Because we're the defending champions, and because we'll be labeled the favorites. Being the defending champions, you're going to be automatically labeled the favorites to go on to win it. But also because we're Arsenal Football Club and the fans are loud. So every team, every football player in the Premier League knows how loud Arsenal fans are. And they're going to be like, yeah, we've got to silence them. And that's what they're going to try to do. So for me, I think, who starts in the commentary game? Let me see. For me, who starts in the commentary game? Definitely Raya at the back. If Timber is not back, I'd play Ben White right back. I'd play Mosquera, Gabriel, and I'll play Calafiori against Coventry. In the midfield, for the first time, I would play Bruno Guimaraes and Declan Rice. I'll let Miles get a rest this time around. He just gave me a good masterclass. And I know what people will say, Miles is playing very well. Why are you taking him out of the team? No, there's a reason I'm trying to test something here. And Coventry will be a good team to test it on. They're not, they're just in from the championship. They're a tough team. They're going to be a tough team to play, but they are one of the fewer teams that we can test these type of things on to see. In front of them, I'll play Odegaard. On the left, I'll play Zolis. On the right, I'll play Bukayo Saka because he's got some minutes in his leg right now. And up front, I will start with Gyökeres. And I'll tell people why I start with Gyökeres. Just a few seasons ago, Gyökeres was playing in that championship stage. He knows those type of plays. The bullying, the strong, those guys are strong. Let's not get it twisted. We need to see what happens with that. And then again, if I need to make a change in between, if there's no output from that starting 11, then I'll throw in Kai Havertz in the mix. I'll take out Gyökeres, and then probably bring in Eberechi Eze, and take out Bruno Guimaraes. And then so that way I'd be playing Declan as a solo 6. I'll play Odegaard and Eberechi Eze for more creativity, and of course have Havertz in front of them with Solis on the left and Saka on the right still. So yeah. My expectations for this season, I expect us to try to retain the Premier League. Most importantly, I expect us to try to retain it. If we can retain the Premier League and make it to the Champions League final, again, we did something last season that I think a lot of people overlook. I was overlooking it, but then I thought about it and I was like, we went 2 finals and we won the league. That's 3 finals literally out of 4. That's hard for any team to do. Kudos to City. They were also in 2 finals, if I'm not mistaken. Right? I think they were in the FA Cup final and the Carabao, and they won both. So you can see how difficult it is. So again, my expectation would be do the same thing we did last season, but win one of those trophies. Right? Win one of those trophies in addition to retaining the Premier League and getting to those 2 finals, because in the final anything can happen. I still know we lost. I know we lost last season, Champions League final, but the way we lost it for me was we could have won that Champions League. We lost on penalties and we didn't even test their goalkeeper with the 2 penalties that we missed, Eze's penalty and Gabriel's penalty. So I expect us to be able to do better in that region and just do what we did. Just trot along slowly but surely. 1-0 to the Arsenal, 2-0 to the Arsenal. Just keep moving on game by game. So win one of the, FA, Carabao, retain the Premier League, and get to the Champions League final. And I won't predict the final until I see who's in the final. But my goal is for us to get there. And if we get there, then we'll decide, depending on who we're playing. I can then come and predict to you how we win or how we lose it. Yeah, that's what that would be my the value of the value of our midfield upgrade to the team. Look, your midfield is your engine, and when you look at a midfield, eh, let me do this real quick. Yeah, when you look at the midfield of these guys, like when you look at the midfield, Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Mikel Merino, Bruno Guimaraes, Martin Odegaard, Eberechi Eze. I didn't even add Miles Lewis Skelly in here. Like when you look at this midfield, you know that teams are going to be in trouble. Teams are going to be in trouble. They don't have an option at this point. They don't. Like, and I'm not saying this because I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to be like, Arsenal is the best. No. That's not what this is about. This is just realistically looking at this team. If you had a team like this, let me ask you what you would do if you had a team like this. If your team was like this, you would be happy. If your team, snap, sorry, yeah, I need to work this thing properly. I have so much going on here, and so here's for me this midfield is it's the upgrade we've been looking for, and I think probably this would be one of the best midfield depths in all of Europe. If you look across Europe, I'm not saying we have all the best players in the world, but I'm saying we have some of the best players in the midfield in midfield positions, all on the same team. That's good depth. And yeah, you can't put I can't put into words how important it is that we did what we did with the Bruno Guimaraes deal. Because remember, we keep talking about Bruno being 29, blah, 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 but he brings a lot of experience. We've seen what he can do so far. This guy can get us to the next level. I remember we have Miles Lewis Skelly just behind him, behind Bruno Guimaraes and Declan Rice is a Miles Lewis Skelly, and we've already seen what he's doing, and he's just 19. So by the time Bruno is fading out fully in his 30s, Miles will be entering his early 20s. And my prayer is that Miles will still be with us by then as regards to being our player, and we haven't sold him or somebody hasn't come for him for 100 million, So yeah, I think we're building the right way. I think we have, that midfield upgrade was very, very important to do. Let's not forget we still have Mikel Merino. That's a World Cup winner. Zubimendi, he's a World Cup winner. They both played in the final. Mikel Merino had contribution to Spain winning that World Cup. Let's not forget that we have quality players of that ilk, still in midfield. And let's not forget we still have youngsters. The Ethan Nwaneris are still there. So there's got to be a way to balance this squad and balance the team and be able to use players when you need them. And that midfield, says a lot. We still have one or two, and I think we need to get in attack, and we'll see what happens before the window closes. But right now, I think we can hit the ground running as is for the first couple of games before the window closes. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. And as regards to the Champions League, I'll just say this. If we win it, it ends a lot of debates. But it's not easy to win the Champions League, as we've seen. PSG will tell you that they've made it to a final before and did not win it. And then they came back and won it. And then now they've won it back to back. So, and for them, it was the same thing. They made the semi-final, then they made a final the year after, then they dropped out, and then they came back. And, it's always like that. So I think we've been on the steady trajectory when it comes to Champions League. We did quarterfinal when we got back into the Champions League a few years ago. We went to semi-final 2 seasons ago. Last season, we got to the final, lost on penalties. If we can replicate that and make it to the final again this season, it doesn't matter who we meet. I think the players will then know how, and we still have the same core of players, so they will know how important this is, which is you can't make a mistake and give away anything. You can't give anything away. Take something from them and lock it up. Just lock up, So we'll see. We'll see. Yay! Hola, ¿cómo estás, my brother? How you doing? How you doing, man? Yo. Yes, it was a game. It was a game. It was a game. I enjoyed it. For everybody who called us haram ball last season, called us boring Arsenal, said Arsenal we're parking the bus, even though we played the most low blocks and had the most touches in opposition boxes. For everybody who said that, maybe now you would prefer us if we play every single person like we played City today. As long as you guys come out and play ball like City, so we can rip through you, give you 3-0, keep a clean sheet, and just ride it all out to the end of the season. Maybe you prefer us now, because if we play like we played today and all season, and we play very good, interesting football, and we win teams 2-3-0, I'd like to hear what people will say this season. Yeah, let me see what we got here. Yeah, City, yo. Yeah, City looked shocked. They did. He said, Rodri was like, look, the City's midfielder said, nah, deuces, I'm out. Peace, I'm out. And now where is Rodri? Rodri is in Madrid, man. He is. I thought Madrid. He's in Barcelona. Sorry, my bad. I meant to say Barcelona. So should we laugh at Real Madrid now for not being able to get Rodri because they had said they were going to get him, and then suddenly it's Barcelona that gets him? Because when Arsenal did the Vinny Jr. thing, everybody would try to laugh at Arsenal, like really and truly, whatever. Anyway, let me see what we got here. Yeah, Bruno Guimaraes is, yeah, he will. Solis is going to be, man, I'm struggling to say it, but I can see it. I think that Solis is going to be our highest GA contributor this season. I see it, but because he's not done it yet, if you say it, people are going to be like, but that will be my prediction from what I've seen. Because if this is the rate at which he scores and assists, however be it, it's in preseason, but 5 appearances, 1 goal, 4 assists. That's 5 GA in 5 games. If he keeps on going 5 GA in 5 games, it doesn't matter whether it's 2 goals, 3 assists, 4 assists, 1 goal. If he does that in 20 games, he would have in 20 games he would have 25 GA. No, in 20 games he would have 20 GA, right? That's 5. Yeah, he would have 20 GA, right? If he keeps on at this pace, even if it's just assist, right? Even if he's getting 1 goal in 5 games, but he's getting 4 assists in the other 4 games, he would have 20 GA. And so I said, I think by the end of the season, if this guy can be consistent, then he will be our highest GA contributor, not highest goal scorer, but maybe highest GA contributor. So I think that's something that Solis can challenge himself to try to do. I hope he does it, and if he does that, that would be great. Or yeah, social joins. Yeah, thank you, man. You guys share the video, please. Like the video, share the video. And yeah, let me see the amount of people that said there's word for us this season. Our first 11 was still chilling. Look, I said this many times. I said if people had just listened to what the manager said, the beginning of preseason, when they had the optional preseason for players, he was like, we have an optional one first for players who just want to come to preseason early. We're going to he did an interview and he says we're having 3 sets of players, like groups of players, play in the preseason because we're looking for different things and we're working a different type of structure that they're working. So it wasn't about winning or whatever in preseason. It was more about just getting those tactics right, getting those, testing out a few things here and there. And he did come true. Now we face City in our what I would call the final preseason game, and we've showed what the first team can do. I mean, we started this game and had scored goals before we brought in the likes of Saka and Rice and all these guys. So you have to ask yourself the question, when you're bringing Saka off the bench and Rice off the bench in this Arsenal squad, then yeah. So it's going to be long. If Solis can be, I think he can do 10-15 assists over 38 games. And that's the thing. If he does 10-15 assists and maybe he does just 5 goals for himself, that's 20 GA in his first season as a winger. It's something to smile home about, because again, remember, this is a guy who was doing 20 plus goals and 20 plus, GA, closer to 30 plus, like on the 20 plus higher side, GA, 2 seasons back to back. He was doing 47 GA, 49 GA back to back. And if we can get just a third of that, 15 to 16 GA, as an assist, alone, just give me 15 assists, and then whatever goals you want to contribute, man. But because we can see already what he is, he's somebody who he's not selfish with the ball. He's not trying to be, he's very decisive. As soon as he gets the ball, and I saw it first game in preseason, as soon as he gets the ball and he's able to drive into any type of space, he's putting the ball in a dangerous place, you know, or he's finding that pass and freeing up himself so that he can come back and put the ball in a dangerous place, or he's dragged the defender with him. He sees an underlap or an overlap and he releases the ball and finds himself back in the box. And he did that today quite a bit. So, yeah, I'm really, 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 really impressed with what he did today. Yeah, a game will always be different if the other team scores first. But one thing that I have seen with this Arsenal team from last season, and it was after the Newcastle game that I realized that we had that mentality where we would fight till the very end. Because last season, remember, we played City 3 times and we didn't beat them once. And even the game that we drew, Martinelli coming off the bench to score that goal, the equalizer, that just showed the Arsenal mentality of trying not to lose. We fight till the very end. So the game would have been different if they had scored first. But do I think we could have equalized? Yes. Do I think we could have gone on to win it? I'll be honest with you. 2 days ago, I predicted the 3-1 win for Arsenal. I said Arsenal 3, City 1. And the reason I said City 1 is because I felt, look, if you have Erling Haaland on your team and you have a Shirky and people who can create chances for him, he's most likely going to try and score one goal. And he always seems to score against Arsenal. We always seem to let him score a goal. Fair enough. But I just was like, yeah, 3-1. But the boys proved me different. Not only did they lock out Haaland and Haaland got substituted, they went on and kept a clean sheet. Kudos to David Raya for the saves that he made. I just think that, yeah, it would have been different. It would have been different. Let me move this screen here so that I could be looking this way instead. Arsenal have got over the line now. Yeah. I think that's the thing about getting over the line. Once you get over the line, you tend to then become a lot more confident, and less afraid. You're not playing games and saying, I have to win. If I don't win, we lose the league this season. No, you're playing games now saying, all right, I'm the champion. Let me just step in, do what I need to do. And you don't overlook anybody because everybody's coming to haunt you. You don't overlook any team. You play every team like you want to match. You're just stepping on everybody's neck, literally. Like there's no, oh yeah. And that's what I like about this squad, because whoever you put on the pitch will look scary. If you look at that midfield, whatever lineup you want to go with, if you want to go with Bruno Guimaraes, Zubimendi, and Miles Lewis Kelly, we look dangerous. You want to go with Declan Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, and Odegaard, we look dangerous. You want to go with Eze, Bruno Guimaraes, and Declan Rice, we look dangerous. Miles Lewis Kelly, Declan Rice, and Eze, we look dangerous. Zubimendi, Bruno Guimaraes, and Odegaard, we look like, you spin it whichever way you want to spin that midfield against any team, depending on how that team plays and how you want to set up against that team. We look dangerous. In all these names I've been mentioned, I haven't mentioned Mikel Merino, who we know even as the midfielder will pop into the box 18 and score so many mad goals. So yeah, that midfield is really, really important. I'm glad at how we've restructured it. And the players that we have, and even when we do have because it will happen, it's part of football, we will have players who will be out for whatever reason. It could be minor injuries, it could be sickness, it could be anything. We just know that we have enough depth in there to still carry us up until they come back, and that's important that we have that type of squad depth. So yeah, I think we're going to play with a lot more confidence this season. We're not going to be as timid as we were last season. I don't think we're going to be playing the whole, because again, last season, I know there was a lot of talk about Arsenal played Harambo, but narratives are so, and why people don't go out and just double check themselves and just listen to narratives and run with it baffles me. Arsenal played against the most low blocks last season. And even at that, when we played teams that did not play a low block, go look at the scoreline. Right? So maybe the problem we had is not being able to break down a low block. Hence why we resorted to playing corners in different ways to be able to score. But then they want to criticize you for doing that when they are playing the low block. So they're playing haram ball. They're expecting you to find a way to break them down. And then when you bring up a trick like a corner kick, they want to vilify you for it. They want to say, oh, Arsenal is such a terrible club. They depended on corners. And again, that was also another big lie. We scored I think 18 corners in all competitions. I think 16 in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. If I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but something roughly around there. Maybe 18 in the Premier League and 20 something across all competitions. 24, something like that. I have to go check it. But even that 18 in the Premier League, we scored 67 goals. And how many of them were penalties? Just a few. That means we scored some oddly 40 something plus goals from open play. Like even if that's all the goals we scored, if you split 40 something odd goals over 38 games, that's like 1.5 goals per game or 1.2 goals per game. Now, with the way Arsenal played, where we could score one goal and defend for our lives, we could still have gone on if we didn't score corner kicks to win the Premier League. Because again, I tell people, like, mathematically, all you need to do is win every game. And if you can go on and win every game 1-0, you'll score only 38 goals in a season. It's mad, but it's the truth. If you go on and win every single game 1-0, you don't lose any game. You're only scoring 38 goals in that season and you win the league. So the idea that, oh, you must score 90 goals or you must score 80 goals or you need so many goals, I think you just need to score the right amount of goals that you need. And for you to win the league, concede the least. If you're not losing games, then you're winning the league. Because even the Invincibles in 2004, they scored 73 goals in total. That's all they scored. They scored 73 goals. Arsenal last season scored 67 goals. So the Invincibles scored maybe 6 or 7 goals more than this Arsenal of last season. So it's not even City. City has the best attack last season. This is what we were told. And it's true. Their attack was really, once you have Erling Haaland in your attack, just take it that you have one of the best goal scorers of all time that we've seen. And then you have on your right, you have, Semenyo, you have on the left Semenyo, on the right Semenyo, and you have Doku, you have Shirky behind him, you have Rodri in the team, people that can feed him the ball, you have people that can create chances for him, he can create chances for himself. They scored only 6 or 7 goals more than Arsenal. They scored only 6 or 7 more goals than Arsenal last season. Our attack is so bad. So my thing is, a narrative was created just to banter Arsenal, and we accepted the narrative. We played a style of football that people call boring because other teams also played us in the low block. And every team that decided not to play a low block in Europe learned the hard way. PSG did not play a low block. They learned the hard way. We scored an open play goal. They scored a penalty against us. That's the best attack in the world. So let's not rewrite history because people banter, and then we take that banter as fans and we run with it, and we run with the narrative, and we talk about it, and then it becomes a reality to the world, which is not the real thing that it is. So yeah. So again, yes, we do need to score goals, but we just need to score the right amount of goals. Because for me, if I score one goal and you cannot score against me, and I can stop you from scoring off the ball, I'm better than you. And when I get the ball, I play you off the park and score a goal. And then when you come back off the ball, I'm very defensive, very resolute, very tight to break down, very hard to break through. And you're unable to score against me, and time goes and the game ends and I win. That's all that matters. That's all that matters to me. It means that off the ball, I played very well. I looked very good. And then on the ball, I was decisive enough, to cut through you and score a goal. That's all I care about. Again, I watch people's content. I read a lot of stuff that people put out there about Arsenal, and then I hear things like, oh, after Arsenal scored 2 goals, they took their legs off they pulled the handbrakes up and started playing in their reserve football. I'm like, what do you expect? Do you expect them to play consistent heavy metal football for 90 minutes? Like what are we doing here? Or you expect the other team to not even have a sniff? Like, they should never be able to attack Arsenal because they took their hands off the legs off the accelerator, and that's why these are pundits saying this nonsense, right? And that's why City had a sniff and Raya had to make some 2 great saves. City was always going to get a sniff. It is what we do when they get a sniff that makes us look good or bad. How we defend, how we stop that attack, and then how we convert it into our own attack. So to then paint it and say Arsenal were the ones who took their legs off the brake, like we were afraid, we wanted to step back or roll back and just play a low block and give City the chance. No, it's because in that point, City were the ones attacking, and we had to defend. And when we're attacking, they need to defend us, and they could not today. So yeah. Sentiment about Nwaneri. Look, Ethan is a talent. Ethan is a wonderful talent. you know my stance with players, right? I'm sure you definitely know my stance with players when it comes to um I don't have any sentiment to any player. I have sentiments towards my club. Um Sorry. Yeah. I don't have any sentiments towards any player. I have sentiments towards my club. I love the players that come to my club, and players will come and players will go. Ethan is a wonderful talent. I wish Ethan would stay, but if there's no room, we can't let that talent just be sitting down there. He's got to go somewhere. Now, how would I approach this if I was working at Arsenal? I would have to think this through properly. If I keep Ethan, does Ethan win me the Champions League? Or is it just pure sentiments? If I let Ethan go because he needs to play football, how can I still have access to a player like Ethan? Because if he develops and becomes a player that I know he's going to become because I've seen it from our academy days, how do I retain him? Then I will put in every clause in the world in that contract. Buyback clause, percentage on resale. We have the first pot to bring him back. If you choose to try to sell him first, we will drag it. He must be able. I will put every kind of mad thing in that contract just because I want the player to still be mine, right? And that's how I'd address it. If and I say it again, if I were to let him go, but if he was willing to stay at the club and fight for his chance and show in training, what he can do, and when he gets a chance in games, like to prove to the like Miles is proving himself every time he gets a chance. You know what I'm saying? And if Ethan is given a chance, I think he can prove himself as well. If he can do that, then that's another route to him staying. But like I said, I'm not sentimental towards any player. I love all the players that play for my club. I love every single one of you, but I'm not sentimental because tomorrow, when it's time for you to leave, you're going to leave, and Arsenal will still be there. So yeah, and that's how I kind of address it when it comes to Ethan stuff. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I expect pundits to at least be honest people. Just say it as it is, and not. I hear things like, "Oh, City were poor today." Like this is the angle people are coming from. City were poor. It's because Maresca is trying to figure it out. Is that why they looked the way they looked, or is it because Arsenal were better than them off the ball? We looked better. We closed down the initial press from Arsenal today. For the first 10 minutes, the press was just insane. Like they look clueless. They didn't know what to do with the ball, not because they were poor, but because we made them poor, because we played better than them. We pressed them. And then when we got the ball, we punished them. Why do you think Donnarumma is making that type of mistake for the second goal? Is it because Donnarumma is not good? No, Donnarumma is a good goalkeeper, but it's the pressure. It's the pressure. And we've been at that receiving end before as Arsenal, when the pressure would get to us and would concede certain goals like that. And people would banter us and criticize us. But now they want to make excuses for the other team. No, it's not that way now. Now, you see, this is what I keep talking about. We like Ethan, the coach don't. What makes you think the coach doesn't like Ethan? Because he's not playing him? Well, he might not be playing him because Ethan was on loan last season, came back to the club, and there were other players in the pecking order, right? He might not be playing him because in training during the week, there's certain milestones you have to hit, and then fitness levels you have to be at, so that the day before, when they're submitting the list of players, or when the manager is making his final list, you can make that cut. And if you're not doing enough, and this is when I say not doing it, I'm not saying Ethan is a bad player. I'm saying he's in the midst of such quality players that it is so hard to say just because you are talented, I'm going to throw you on the pitch. There's other things that come that the other players have, even though they're not as talented as Ethan. You cannot point at 3 players on the Arsenal squad that can press like Martin Odegaard. You cannot. You throw Ethan in that 10 role and ask him to do that press, Ethan is gassed out by the end of the first half. We've seen this before in the past. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's probably more technical, probably more skilled, but there's other qualities and other things. There's other chemistry between players. Remember when we used to have the right wing with the Odegaard, the Saka, and Ben White? That triangle between them, the overlaps, the underlaps. that chemistry is not something that you just throw somebody in and say, oh, because you're talented, I'm just going to throw you in. Because that chemistry works. That doesn't mean the manager doesn't like him. And so when Arsenal fans come out and post stuff on social media, the manager doesn't like him. Rival fans tag onto that and then start to insult your manager and say nonsense that, oh, Mikel Arteta doesn't like Ethan Nwaneri. That's why blah, 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 blah. It's all nonsense. There's nowhere, if the manager doesn't like Ethan, you don't think that Ethan's agent and his parents would have tried to force a move? You don't think Ethan would want to leave the club if the manager doesn't like him? Like if you work at a place where they don't like you, would you not try to leave? Has there been any news that has come out, even on Ethan? Have you seen anything on Ethan's social media that has showed that he feels like the club or the manager or nobody likes him there, or like the manager doesn't like him? There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. So I think, it's unfair to accuse the manager of something that he hasn't done and say that the manager doesn't like him just because he's not playing him enough. There's many reasons why he may not be playing him enough. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. Ethan has to make himself unplayable. Like he has to make himself like what's that word again? Where they can't do without him. When you get your chance to play, you've got to become that guy because you're on the same level like any of the other midfielders, and they have more experience. They're older, they've done it longer together. So again, why do I want to break that chemistry? Because you're also talented, and that's where it comes in for me. So there's a lot of work to be done for a young player like him. I think Miles is on the lucky side because he came in as a left wing, left fullback, and all the time he would invert in. We could see how good he was in the midfield. We all know he was a midfield player right from the academy days, but he came in as a left as a left fullback, and he would invert, and eventually he's transitioned him into that midfield. The thing for Ethan is Ethan was coming in at a season where Odegaard was captain, playing in that 10 role, when bringing Ethan in. And then when he played backup for Saka, he did really, really well, but he's not an out-and-out right winger. And so, yeah, again, coming back, being able to break in and for to even depend on Ethan at that time as an 18-year-old to become the kid who is going to be the one, to carry that midfield for us would have just been suicide. It would have just been suicide for us to do that. He's a young kid. He's got the talent. He's got the talent. I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And then again, if you look at the way Arsenal is set up in our midfield and how physical the league has become, there's a big fear there. When you're even looking at the sizes of the players alone and the kind of players that Mikel Arteta really likes. Yes, Ethan has broken into the first team somehow, but there's a lot of work for Ethan to do. There's a lot of work for him to do. I really, really like him, and I rate him as a player. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying he's bad. And this is why when I try to explain to people, I say, look, in the Arsenal midfield, he's one of the very best when it comes to like skill and technicality. Like he is that good, right? But there's a lot more beyond your skill and your technicality. There's a lot more beyond that if you're going to play in this Arsenal team. Sadly, it's just the way it is. Mikel Merino is more effective in this Arsenal squad than Ethan right now. Mikel Merino is not a better football player than Ethan when it comes to being technical. But Mikel Merino reads the game the manager wants it read and runs the play the way the manager wants it run. And his teammates understand it the way that the manager wants it done. Hence why, they get a shout out before Ethan. So there's a lot of work that Ethan needs to do. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that most people don't realize. The same thing with Martin Odegaard. He was a wonder kid at 16. And we didn't get him until he was 20-something. Why? Because it took that many years for clubs to even realize. Even Madrid didn't know what to do with him at a point when he was there at Madrid. Hence why they loaned him to us in the first place. So when you see that happening with Ethan, and Arsenal fans now want to lose their mind, I'm like, no. You guys need to be realistic. You're okay with getting Martin Odegaard after he's undergone all those different seasons in different clubs, and he's ended up in Madrid, and he's worked himself and trained and gotten to the point where he was now good enough to be able to play we were happy to receive him then. Now that we're trying to do the same for Ethan to shape him and he becomes the player that he should be, Arsenal fans want to beat the manager over the head with false accusations. The manager don't like him, that's why he don't play him, blah 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 blah. Now, come on. There's a lot more behind football than just us being, so yeah. Man, I appreciate all the questions, man. I appreciate all the questions. Guys, like the video, please share, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm going to try and do more live streams consistently and just try to answer questions. I don't know why I have a soundboard and I'm not using it. But yeah, so some of these, like I said, for me, these are the key things that need to change, especially for like our young players. And I'm not sentimentally attached to any player. Look, I'm all about getting the best and the best and the best. If the best will come to us, if the deal is there to be done and the best are willing to come to us and we can afford to get that best, let's go get it. And if that best is going to make the squad look bad and not be able to win trophies, no, get rid of that best and just bring me the right core of players, that will always be able to gel together so we can win. That's what I care about. I know there's some people who want to care about, how do we look? The eye test. Yeah, whatever. We've had eye tests for years. Arsenal has always been an eye test club. We've always looked good. What did we win with it? It won us nothing. And football is evolving. So you can eye test all you want and not win anything, or just play effective football, effective enough to be able to win. And when teams decide to open up against you, you're going to look good. Your effective football will always look good. It will only look bad when teams play a low block. That's when it looks like it's haram ball. So yeah. Awesome, man. Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I just did a whole hour and I just thought, all right, cool. My hour is up. I will be back again, hopefully same time tomorrow. And if I, yeah, we need signings. I'm going to say this. We still need signings. There's still 2 weeks in the window. I mean, last season we signed Eze on the last day. We've signed Mesut Ozil on the last day. We've signed Thomas Partey on the last day of the window. We've gone and done some crazy business in the past. So I'm not putting anything past Arsenal to not go and do some crazy business in the last couple of days of the window. I think we need some outgoings. According to the FA rules, we need some outgoings because of the number of players we have on our squad. Hence why we need to get those outgoings quickly. Otherwise, it closes our chances of bringing people in. There's so many players that you can put on the senior squad, and you can now not demote people like Martinelli and say go and play for under 23 or whatever it is. We can't do that. So we've got to get some outgoings. Yeah, we get that outgoing, and then we'll see what happens before the end of the league. Yeah, but I appreciate you, man. Insomniac E. Peace out, guys. I shall be back again tomorrow. All right, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. God bless you.